Class is in session. What up? Our assistant teacher is on his way. There we go. Alright, what's up? I'm Creature Man. This is lecture number 2 from Quadrobics 101, my new series teaching people how to do quadrobics. Today we're going to talk about, well, how to do quadrobics. I realized I didn't really address that in the last one, so we're gonna probably make a couple of these to reiterate what we went over last time. What is quadrobics? Well, quadrobics, at least I consider it to be the method / art / act of locomoting while on all four limbs in a manner that typically mimics animal movement pattern. And as stated before, and as probably demonstrated through the multitude of videos I have on my channel demonstrating the walk cycles of different animals, you can do it a lot of different ways. Now, there's a lot of different speeds, variations on how one does quadrobics. For this, I'll demonstrate using just one animal's movement patterns, and I think I'll stick with the cat. They're pretty similar to the archetype of human beings, being how they influence and have free will somewhat like us, and just kind of easiest. So first off, walking. A lot of different animals have a lot of different walk patterns, a little different movements they make with their body. Kind of helps define who they are, what they do. Walking is probably the easiest of the quadrobics. How can you say it? Styles. And if I can give any tip on walking, first off, I'd say don't ever walk like that. You're gonna break your wrist and break your fingers. I see far too many people walking like this. And a lot of times they excuse it by saying that's anatomically how a cat would walk with people hands. Which, if you want to see how a cat actually walks, homogenously according to our anatomy, there you go. They walk on their paw pads, and if we were to truly mimic the exact hand and foot shape of a cat, we'd have to break this phalange, bring it all the way up, hook it like a motherfucking, sorry, I'm trying not to cuss, like a raptor claw, and then walk around. We don't do that because we're trying to save our fingers. So don't walk like that. If you're already comfortable doing that, I'm gonna urge you to try and switch to that. Really, it's free country. You can do what you want. Just don't go teaching people to walk like that. You're gonna injure people's wrists, tendons, fingers. Pretty much everything about the human hand is not meant to walk like that. 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 But don't walk like that. Because when you progress to the other methods of moving on all fours, like, let's say, running, you might fuck yourself up really bad. So, starting with walking, only tips I'll really give you are, I'd say start walking like that. Use your thumb as a base, as sort of that back heel if you need. And balance, will really put all your weight on the ball of your hand, on your paw pad. That's tip number 1. And tip number 2, shoot for parallel in your back. You want to try and keep a streamlined, parallel to the ground motion of your back. Doing that will allow your muscles just all over to develop without placing too much focus on any specific muscle group. That way you don't have any imbalances in either your hands, arms, legs, feet, whatever. Next method is crouching. And I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You get down low, you might need to lift your legs up a little bit. You can even rest the weight of your body on the forearm. That's what a lot of big cats do. That's what a lot of dogs do. I'll demonstrate a little better. Just like that. That's a bit more advanced, but still in the realm of beginner movement. Whew. I say that and I'm about out of breath. Most animals can walk and crouch, except maybe pachyderms and probably whales. Pretty much anything fish. Whew. But either way, those are the first two. The next, I'd say, is movement that's a little bit faster, which I'll call trotting. And I'll demonstrate. Most animals can trot in a form kind of like a gallop, or not a gallop, more like a canter. Canter? Either way, trot. Slightly faster walk. Requires you to be a little bit better on your patterning with your legs and your arms. And it'll challenge. Whew. Give me a second. It's hot. It'll challenge your capacity to stay parallel, but that's kind of the point. You need to pay attention to your hand placement. And if you're trotting, be sure not to trot too far forward on your hands or you might break your fingers. That's kind of the same thing with running on two legs. You want to pay attention to the form and be careful. Next movement pattern, I'd say. Hat, my glasses, and my vape. Goddamn. Next movement pattern. The hop. A lot of animals hop. Frogs, rabbits, technically bandicoots. It's a bit more advanced even than trotting. Or at least I like to say so, because technically it's kind of like a lifted, falling Hindu push-up for most animals. So if you notice that I'm going easiest to hardest here. Hopping is probably one of the best little tricep and pectoral exercises you can come up with. It's great for your quads, great for your shoulders, and it just feels nice. I love frogs. And rabbits too. Bunnies. Bunnies is where it's at. Anyway, so far we got walking, crouching, trotting, hopping. I don't leave much else other than running. I'd say running's about the most advanced. It's also about the hardest to consistently stay mimicking an animal while doing that movement. Because you try and run exactly like some animals, you're just gonna break the fuck out of your hands. And you don't want that. Running, I'd say, is like the highest level of difficulty for, well, really all forms of quadrobics, because if you're gonna run on all fours, you need to run like a person on all fours, if that makes sense. When I run, that's how I'm hitting the ground. That's how I'm leaving the ground. You never really want to run full bar like that, or hell, even like that. You can. I mean, I don't know no Tarzan except me. But most times that just isn't safe for the human anatomy. We don't have the wrists that are built that way. We can develop them to a degree, but for the most part, it's just safest kind of go bear paw with it. At least that's the way I'm gonna say it. Why is all this important? Well, because you can develop pretty well-rounded damn physique just from doing all these different paces, I'd say. From the walk to the crouch to the trot to the hop to the the run, eventually full-on sprint. You can genuinely get one of the best full-body workouts you've ever thought of. It's important to differentiate all these, because if you don't, you kind of wind up putting the horse before the cart. You know, you can't run before you walk. You can't, in my opinion, you can't really hop before you can crouch. A lot of the muscle development necessary for safe hopping comes from being able to move your body lower and bring it up higher and stay in that position so that you can move in a safe manner. And when it comes to workout programs and methods in which you can develop this strength, I'd say I'd start at beginner, intermediate, and then advanced. If you're just starting out quadrobics, start with walks and start with crouches. I'm gonna go ahead and say my recommended animal for everyone to start in understanding how to better optimize their own movement patterns to an analogous, even homogenous structure as the human body to another animal. I'd say start with the cat. We're just built that way in a manner that helps us walk most like a cat on all fours. You could say Bigfoot has some things to say about that, but that's another lecture. For walks, I'd say start with cat. And I brought up Bigfoot, so I'll say great apes. We are literally great apes, so walking on your knuckles is good. I wouldn't recommend walking on your knuckles like this, just because it sets a bad precedent and habit. And there aren't any great apes that walk like that. Some of them, they'll barely touch in the back. Like if you watch chimpanzees move, they'll do that every now and then. Some of them got a little longer thumbs than the others. But for the most part, they're all like that. Most great apes evolved a kind of hoof movement for their front leg, for their hands. It helps preserve their fingers' ability to grasp things. It really maintains the preservation of their opposability and dexterity. So I'd say start off with Cat, great ape. You can pick gorilla, orangutan, chimpanzee, hell, even gibbon, but I wouldn't recommend it. They got real long arms. They walk a little funky too. I'll make a video about that eventually. But start with walks and start with crouches. That's why I recommend the cat, because cats, everyone's seen a damn cat crouch. And I'd say shoot for a couple sets of 3 minutes, just walking around in a circle like I do right here. You can walk, hell, if you got a house with stairs, I'm sure you've already figured out a thing or two. But that's a good method for beginners. Just start with that. And I'd say follow that same line of reasoning. 2 to 3 minutes, maybe 1, 2 to 3 rounds of just walking and crouching. And once you feel you've got a handle of that, maybe a week or 2 of doing that, step up to intermediate, which would be trotting. Which, I mean, if you want to try them all out in one go, go for it, man. But I'm the guy making the lectures here. I know a thing or two. But start at walks with intermediate, warm up with walks, and then go to trots. Trotting you can do as a great ape. Trotting you can do as a bear, cat, dog, whatever. Horse even, if you got damn strong fingers. But 2-3 minutes, 2-3 rounds of that. And hell, if you want to go higher than that, you can go as many rounds as you want. I just wouldn't recommend going for too long, too quick, because you got to think of this. It's got aerobic in the name for a reason. But then again, anaerobic and aerobic both have aerobic, but they're two different forms of that. Quadrobics is kind of like a combinatory exercise of aerobics and anaerobics, because you are building some pretty intense full body strength while also working on your cardiovascular capabilities. So, beginner, do a couple minutes of walking, crouching even. Crouching is very important. That'll help you build up muscle if you're not doing additional strength and conditioning work on the side to help build that strength. We'll make a video about that too. Then the intermediate, trotting, and I'd say hopping. Hopping will help you build a lot of muscle, but you got to know how to do it good. Do that I'd say for hops, once you get to hopping, go for rep ranges instead of, time. Because you don't want to do, I mean, you can do what you want, but in terms of developing the strength and conditioning necessary to do what we do, you don't want to be going for time on push-ups, You don't want to be doing as many push-ups as you can do for like 3 minutes. So I'd say start with a rep range of what would make sense for you on hopping. Depending on the animal you're mimicking, like rabbit, bandicoot, frog, listen to your body. I'd say 10 reps for however many sets you can do that comfortably to understand that movement pattern first. But after 10 hops, you'll get what I'm saying. That's beginner, the intermediate, and then we get to advanced. Advanced is running. Running is advanced. If you don't know what you're doing, if you haven't practiced these movements, if you haven't gotten a handle on how your body maneuvers and what you need to do in those tiny moments to get your spine right and that sort of swimming across land, you can hurt yourself real bad. You can break your wrists, you can break your hands, you can fall on your face, break your nose. And hell, if you ain't careful, you can fuck up your knees, fuck up your hamstrings, fuck up your back toes, everything. You can mess up your spine even, your pelvis especially. But that's where I'll recommend when it comes to advanced workouts. If you've already been walking plenty, been hopping, been trotting, once you get to running, I ain't gonna say pick a time frame. I'm gonna say pick a distance and run that distance. I'd say just down and then walk back as many times as you can handle that first time. Frankly, I'd say go one below as many times as you can handle. If you're good with your body, if you're experienced and doing outdoor work, if you got an indoor place to do that shit, I'm fucking jealous. But either way, I'd say pick a distance. I'd say about 40 yards is pretty good for like beginning. You want to go less than that, go maybe 25, 30, or at least something where you can get a full speed understanding of your body moving on 4 legs at that level as hard as you can tear. Because it's the same with like sprinting. Once you get to a certain, or sprinting on 2 legs, I mean, once you get to a certain speed when you're sprinting, you're kind of catching yourself with your legs and carrying that already progressing forward momentum. So go for distance, not time, and try to do that as many as you can. A thing I like to do to help me get back into going fast and doing runs is I'll do about 40 yards, run that, then walk back, and I shoot for something over five sets of that. That's a good intro to the advanced workout. You can say that's an intermediate advanced workout. But yeah, that's how I'd say you do it. Now, why is this important? Because you don't want to just go walking willy-nilly on your hands and feet and saying it's quadrobics, because you're not going to find any advancement just from doing it without practice, without dedicating time in your day to doing that. And I know you can get somewhere just from doing it through your own casual comfort zone, walking around like that whenever you need, doing that when you want to just play with your animals a little bit. But if you want to really develop the skills that come with these novel movement patterns, some time and effort's involved. That's why I can do, like, hell, I've only got 40 something different animals I can do on these videos that I've done. I got plenty more, but it's important to have a grasp of the fundamentals of what's advanced, what's easier to do to introduce to people, and what is going to help you develop a more well-rounded workout routine to keep yourself healthy, while also not invading into the personal space of other exercises you do. Because there's some people I know that quadrobics all they do. For a while there, it's all I did, and it works pretty damn well, but it helps to navigate other athletic endeavors in your life, having an understanding of what's intense, what's kind of almost yogic, almost tantric in its functionality, and what's sort of in the middle. That'll help you better create your own workout programs, better understand what's happening to your body, and it'll just help you deal with what you're doing. Oh, it is hot. I'm sweating on fucking bullets right now. Either way, I'll make some videos here coming up detailing sprints, and I'll probably be making some videos here in the future detailing nice workout programs that you can function with, involving eventually progressing from beginner to intermediate to advanced. But for right now, yeah, that's the class for right now. Next lecture is gonna cover more of the morphogenetic side of things. I want to talk about the I hate to say metaphysical impact of doing quadrobics on the body and on the mind and the spirit, but that's essentially what it is. So that'll be lecture number 3 coming up. Be sure to like and subscribe if you made it this long. I can't imagine you ain't already if you can manage listening to me this far. But either way, this is Creature Man signing out. Have a good day. Later, taters.